Hello, this is Crystal Racing here for the 2021 Dutch Grand Prix report and the Crystal score. And Max Verstappen wins his home Grand Prix at, of course, this is Zandvoort's first F1 race in 36 years since 1985 when the late great Niki Lauda won here. Today's victory for Max Verstappen was very much a decisive one. Pole position, led from basically start to finish, 10 out of 10, nothing else to say, in control the whole way through. Second place Lewis Hamilton, 9 out of 10, was always stuck behind Max Verstappen's rear end the whole race. I think he did get the fastest lap towards the end when he pitted, and he did all he could, so that's that. Third place, Valtteri Bottas, 8 out of 10. It was once again the usual number 2 job for Valtteri, and he banked more points with Mercedes, who retained control of the Constructors' Championship. And of course, I think Max Verstappen now leads the Drivers' Championship once again. Fourth place, and my personal driver today is Pierre Gasly, 10 out of 10. What in the living world does this guy need to do to get a top car? Seriously. He is blindingly fast. Qualified 4th, finished 4th. Yes, he got lapped, but the fact of the matter is he's driving an AlphaTauri, which is probably going to finish like 6th in the Constructors' Championship, although arguably a lot of that is down to Yuki Tsunoda's seriously poor performances this season. But Pierre Gasly is single-handedly dragging that team to at least P6 in the Constructors' standings. My man, this guy is just simply amazing. I have ran out of superlatives to describe his performances since he's returned to AlphaTauri. Oh my goodness me. And when Kimi Räikkönen retires from Formula 1, I am supporting this driver full time. 5th place, Charles Leclerc, 9 out of 10. Okay, he qualified 5th, finished 5th. Did all he could in that Ferrari, which, you know, it did not quicken second practice on Friday, but it's no real surprise that Ferrari were never going to really get a podium here, but Leclerc did all he could. 6th place, Fernando Alonso, 9 out of 10. Yes, he got out-qualified by Ocon, but in the race he came up trumps yet again with his amazing race pace. Overtook Sainz and Ocon at the overtook Ocon and Giovinazzi at the start, I beg your pardon, and then overtook Sainz in the closing laps to cap off yet again another brilliant performance in what is a brilliant comeback to Formula 1, and underlining why I've have this guy ranked as high in 4th place in my driver rankings overall for the season, because he's just simply been so good. Okay, yes, he had a slow start to the season, but he's recovered and he has been just fantastic. 7th place, Carlos Sainz, 8 out of 10. Barely bulk standard performance from Carlos Sainz, did all he could. The Ferrari is not quick enough. Yeah, he got beat by Alonso, which puts his score down a bit, but nothing to really cry about here for Sainz. 8th place, Sergio Perez, 5 out of 10. Getting knocked out in Q1 is simply pathetic. It is just pathetic. It is not good enough. And, you know, yeah, it was a good comeback drive from Perez, but, you know, last year, this is basically what the hell Alex Albon was doing in the mid-part of last year. Qualifying way down the field. And then, you know, finishing around somewhere between 8th and 12th. Not really being miles off the pace from Max Verstappen. There's really not a lot to say because that was not good enough in any shape or form. Look, I know he has a contract renewal for next year. You know, he will be racing for Red Bull in 2022, but I mean, seriously, man, he better improve his performances next year, because this sort of performance, his performance this weekend was just not good enough. And the fact he needed, well, 2 stops just to be able to get through the race. I mean, having to go from hard to medium to soft. Oh my goodness, that is not good enough. You know, Gasly, Leclerc, Alonso and Sainz only needed 1 stop. And then, of course, behind him, I mean, Ocon, Norris, Ricciardo and Stroll did one stop. Not good enough, man. I'm not sure if he got a puncher or not, but even if he had a puncher, I still can't give more than 5 out of 10. Ninth place, Esteban Ocon. It's 8 out of 10 from me. Out-qualified Alonso yesterday, but of course he got jumped at the start by Alonso and never really went forward after that. Okay, yeah, decent race pace and all that, but he just simply got absolutely trounced today by Alonso. And frankly, my rating of him as generally being an okay but not great driver is very much being confirmed here. Yeah, he did well at Hungary to win, but that was by luck rather than real any genius there. 10th place, Lando Norris, 7.5 out of 10. Got beat by Ricciardo in qualifying for the first time since, I think, was it Spain? Yeah, but nonetheless, he got in front of Norris. I mean, not Ricciardo. Never really did much after that, and I don't really remember Lando Norris's race in much detail, but he did a solid job. And for those of you wondering why the hell Lando is all the way down, it's in second place in the overall driver rankings for the season. It's frankly because of performances like this, where he still does struggle from time to time. If he really had been extremely consistent, today he would probably finish somewhere like 6th and 7th, which would probably give him like a 9 out of 10 and would put him in contention to continue fighting Max Verstappen for driver of the season, but performance like this keep him in second place. 11th place in the race, Daniel Ricciardo, 7 out of 10. He had to deal with smoke coming out of his engine early on before it cleared up. I don't know how much horsepower he lost from that, but after that he fell behind Lando Norris and never really looked competitive. I suppose I'm giving him 7 out of 10 for doing well, not well in qualifying, but doing it better than usual, but that's it. 12th place, Lance Stroll, I beg your pardon, 7 out of 10, qualified 12th, finished 12th, had the beating of Sebastian Vettel all weekend long, but the Aston Martin did not have enough pace. 13th place, Sebastian Vettel, it's 6 out of 10. Spun early on. Goodness me, Sebastian, why do you always have a spin all the time? Like, seriously, it's embarrassing now. And arguably, that costed him a chance of scoring a point. And meant he finished behind Stroll. Both of them finished 2 laps down. Yeah, that's how slow Aston Martin were today. 14th place, Antonio Giovinazzi. I will give him 8 out of 10 for his fantastic qualifying performance yesterday, where he qualified P7. My eyeballs nearly dropped out of my skull, but, inevitably he was always going to drop back. And had it not been for the puncher, I think he probably would have finished 12th in the race, but of course the late puncher meant he finished down in 14th. I have to say, if that was Kimi Räikkönen qualifying in the top 10, I think Kimi would have actually scored a point today. And of course, Kimi's big problem this season is that his qualifying pace is now finally extinct. If Kimi had actually competed in qualifying and a race, I think Kimi would have probably qualified 12th and possibly finished 10th. But it's really kind of... I don't really know, to be honest, what Kimi would have done this weekend, because he was slower than Giovinazzi in practice. And I will not be giving Kimi Räikkönen a score due to, of course, the fact that he tested positive for the virus yesterday, meaning that in 15th place, Robert Kubica drove in his place. I will give Robert 7 out of 10. Qualified 18th, did the bare minimum in out-qualifying both horses, but unfortunately, because he started so far back, he couldn't really do anything. So, it's 7 out of 10. Having not raced in Formula 1 for 2 years, he did the best he could, so I'm not going to rag on him at all. 16th place, Nicholas Latifi, 6 out of 10. Out-qualified by Russell yet again, although he did get into Q2, so I suppose that's something. Spent most of the race being really far back, only ahead of Schumacher, but of course thanks to Russell's problems, He finished ahead of Russell. 17th place, George Russell was forced to take a late pit stop to sort whatever it was with his car out. Made 3 pit stops in the end due to all his problems, and yeah, I'm going to give him 9 out of 10, not for his performance today, but of course for the second place. He picked him in qualifying at Belgium, and it's kind of almost like a retrospective score here because I feel a bit harsh for the fact that I felt I could not award points to any drivers at Belgium due to just the fact it made no sense to give points out. 18th place, Mick Schumacher, 7 out of 10. He did all he could in that horse. That horse, the deficiencies of the horse really showed when a track around like here where downforce grip is absolutely premium, and let's be honest. As for the race itself, I'll give it 3 out of 10. It was not interesting to watch whatsoever because it's so tight and twisty. You can't really overtake, apart from down the start finish straight. And frankly, this circuit is even tighter than Hungary and Singapore, which is saying something. It's basically like Monaco with a bit more space and slightly faster. So really, I have to say, you know, and it's kind of obvious why we've come back to Zandvoort. It's because of Max Verstappen. 90th, okay, we'll go to the retirees. And my reject of the day, it is Yuki Tsunoda. He was running down in 16th when he retired. He spun early on in the race. And after that, he did not look competitive whatsoever. Miles off Pierre Gasly's pace. And I have to say, Miles, he probably will get a second year in Formula 1. These sort of performances really do not make me think that if he was another driver and another team, he'd be getting another season F1 because this is really poor Yuki. I really don't want to dig into this kid, but I don't think he's good enough. I'm beginning to think he's not honestly good enough. Yes, sometimes we see flashes of quality at places like Bahrain, Baku, and Hungary, where of course he picked up strong points finishes there, but well, I mean, surely Yuki Tsunoda surely should be scoring like 8th and 9th place in this car at a minimum. But right now he's just not performing. He's not competitive, and I mean, I suppose he's kind of a bit like a young Felipe Massa in that he's clearly been pushed to Formula 1 far too soon. He should have done a second year in Formula 2 without a shadow of a doubt. And yeah, I'm not going to rag on him too long, but, you know, it's getting to the point where I can't make excuses for him anymore because I don't want to dig into him, but this is seriously poor from Yuki. And, of course, the other retiree from the race, Nikita Mazepin, 5 out of 10. He was running at the back anyway. He was getting in the way of all the front runners who were lapping him, I think, 15 laps into the race. So if he had continued racing, he would have came close to probably getting lapped 4 times, really, because, well, Nikita Mazepin, once again, is just not quick enough for Formula 1. And, of course, yesterday in qualifying, he complained about Mick Schumacher not allowing him the first choice of way in qualifying. I mean, getting upset over losing out on 19th place on the grid is just hilarious, to be honest. This kid, attitude, his demeanour, his behaviour, his lack of performance is just not good enough for F1, and of course he will stay for F1 for the time being because of course if his dad buys out the team, well, we really do have a bad driver stuck in this grid, and frankly, you know, I'm not entirely sure but, you know, I have to say I can't see any real improvements from Mazepin because he doesn't seem to have the talent required for this level of motor racing. So, if you enjoyed this video, please do all the usual stuff, and I'll see you again next time.